have you been building and designing your brand for at least a year now? Do you feel you haven't made much progress? I mean, how far have you gotten on writing that book? How far have you gotten on setting up that podcast or even setting up your coaching practice? Okay, it's time to be honest. Have you been struggling with idea fatigue because you have great ideas, but you talk yourself out of following through? Why? Because you don't really feel you're good enough. Not good enough writer, not a good enough coach, not business savvy enough, not thin enough, not articulate enough, and so forth and so forth. Well, guess what? You're not alone. You and I and thousands of other entrepreneurs, leaders, and influencers all know what it's like to try to build your dreams and feel insecure. If this is you, stay tuned as we talk about the impact of insecurity while growing a brand. You don't want to miss this, so subscribe and share this now and comment after the show. All right, let's get started.
You are now listening to the Position to Impact podcast with your host, the Impact Mentor, Alicia Ford. The podcast designed to inspire innovation and imagination that sparks change, conversation, and the desire to impact other people's lives. Whether you are a top-notch leader in your community or a savvy business owner on the go, this podcast is for you. Are you ready to build your legacy and impact the world? Then get ready, Impactors, to listen to today's inspiring message. It's time to position your impact in 4, 3, 2, 1.
Turn clicks into customers. Build code-free websites with the power conversion of lead pages. Lead Pages helps small businesses connect with an audience, collect leads, and close sales. Easily build websites, landing pages, pop-ups, alert bars, and beyond. When I started my online business 5 years ago, I did not have a website. At the time, building a website was complicated and time-consuming, and I did not want to learn coding. Plus, paying someone to build it for me felt like buying a house. Let's just be real. But I knew I needed some place in the online world to send people and collect their email addresses. That is when I discovered Lead Pages. 5 years later, I still use Lead Pages. Let me tell you a behind-the-scenes secret. Ready? When I send my audience to theimpactmentor.com/podcast, that initial page is really a landing page from Lead Pages. I use Lead Pages for many other tools as well. Collect quality leads, sell products and services, engage your audience. Grow your email subscriber list with opt-in offers, instant digital file delivery, and targeted Facebook ads. Increase your revenue with high-converting sales pages and built-in checkout powered by Stripe. And connect with your community by offering webinars, downloadable resources, and appointment scheduling. Sign up right now at www.leadpages.net/PIP. Position Impact Podcast. And for all my Impact Kings and Queens and the Royal Fam Patreon listeners, only you will get 20% off your first month when you sign up at leadpages.net/PIP. Packages start as low as $19 per month. Trust me when I tell you, you can use Lead Pages for a variety of different projects. I have been with them for 5 years, and I do not see myself leaving anytime soon. So go over now to www.leadpages.net/PIP and get your 20% off discount now. All right, Impact Nation, where are you? Welcome back. We're back. That is right. We are back with season 3 of Position to Impact podcast. And I am your host, Alicia Ford, the Impact Mentor from theimpactmentor.com. Do me a favor right now and share this episode on your Instagram and tag the podcast and myself at Position to Impact and at the Impact Mentor. I am so happy that we are heading into season 3 of this podcast. We are growing and we are expanding, and I am excited. Can't you tell? So to all my new people following the podcast, to all of my impact kings and impact queens, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Alicia again, and I am a divine brand and content creation strategist. However, I am known across the internet as the Impact Mentor. So I help purpose-driven women leaders who know they have a divine mission and message and want their divinely crafted gifts to be used to impact others. You are trying to build a brand. I help you find, design, and launch a brand that impacts and is divinely connected to God. My mission in life is to encourage women to uplift themselves and then give them the tools and the resources needed to walk the path God has called them to walk. In other words, welcome to Position to Impact podcast. All right. So now, before we really get started with today's episode, I would like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. That's right, sponsors. So I am shouting out Anchor.fm. Host your very own podcast for free. Link, it will be in the show notes. Next, we have leadpages.net. You can build beautiful web pages and landing pages for free and also get 20% off your first purchase. So you get a free trial and 20% off for my listeners only. If you want that and you're interested in that, I'll give you more details later on in the show. Also, are you ready to build your divinely given brand and have all the tools you need for free? Well, the Impact Academy is now open. Join the Impact Academy today. The link is in the show notes. And finally, are you a super fan of the show? If you are now part of the Royal Fam. And not only are you part of the Royal Fam, you can join the Royal Fam Patreons. Become a Patreon today, support the show, and get amazing free perks and stuff. Links is in the show notes. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so today we are talking about building a brand while you're insecure, or just the impact of being insecure while trying to build and grow and scale your brand. So whether you are trying to build a brand through writing books, whether you're trying to become an influencer on social media, whether you're trying to build a coaching and mentoring practice, build a traditional ministry, build a contemporary ministry, whether you're trying to create and sell tangible products, or even if you're trying to sell digital products, it doesn't matter. You're trying to grow a brand, and that brand has a message, and then that brand has a purpose. And so you feel like God has given you a divine purpose, and you are trying to be obedient, and you are trying to follow through, and you're trying to show up, and you're trying to be consistent, and you're getting some results. You've made progress on a lot of the things that you say you're going to accomplish, but you feel like you are still holding back because of your fear of not being good enough. Let's just call it what it is. Like, insecurity comes from feeling like you don't have everything that you need, or you're not enough. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little story real quick. So I have struggled. I have been in business since 2015, and probably, it was 2020 now, 1918. So maybe like 3 years ago, I end up developing a strong fear of goal setting and setting goals. And the reason why was because I had been trying to set goals, and every time I would set a goal, I would not accomplish it. And it would just be soul crushing. I would set a goal to, obtain X amount of clients, one-on-one clients within these next 3 months, or I wanted to grow my email list to 200, or let's say 300, or I wanted to have 1,000 people register for my webinar, and I would get nowhere close to these numbers that I was doing. And I was really setting these goals. I was trying to make them realistic. I was trying to be specific. I was trying to give myself obtainable timelines. Like, I was really trying to follow the rules. You can't see me, I'm doing air quotes, but I was following the quote unquote rules of goal setting, and it just wasn't happening for me. And it got to the point where I just didn't want to set any goal because I was tired of being disappointed. I was tired of getting my feelings hurt, and I was just tired. And part of that was because anytime I would sit down and say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish and this is what I want to do by this time, the doubt and the fears and the insecurities would just pop up because I felt like I just hadn't been able to accomplish what I've been planning up until this point. So why continue to do that? So I wanted to share this little piece of story because I'm still recovering from this. And this is still a real thing for me, setting goals, but I've gotten better. I part of the reason is I'm super over ambitious. And so unfortunately, I do set unrealistic goals. And so I'm learning to to realize what realistic really means for me, and then making and adjusting from there. Okay. But that leads me into our main topic of building a brand while you're insecure. Insecurity is going to happen, like fear and doubt is going to happen. But the question is, are you going to let it impact what it is that you know God has called you to do? Are you going to let it stop you from showing up? Are you going to let it stop you from being obedient to the plan and the lesson and the messages that God has told you to go out there and share with the world, whether it's through your books, whether it's through your coaching, whether it's through video, whether it's through audio, whatever your medium is, are you going to let insecurity stop you from showing up? And so everything is aligned with your purpose. And so if you are a person that has started your brand, you're trying to put yourself out there, you get a little scared, you get worried, you get doubtful, and you just talk yourself out of all of your ideas. You talk yourself, or you downplay the idea. You reduce it down to something that you think is easier. Then I want you to remind yourself, like almost like pulling a rubber band, snapping yourself back to reality. You have to reconnect back to your purpose. It's about being aligned fully with your purpose. When you know for a fact that God is giving you a message, you have to get to the point where you're just like, you know what? This is my mission at hand. This is the task that God has given me, and I have to get this message out there. And it might be scary, and I might not feel like I'm up to par, but if God gave me the message, then I must have something. So let me just start there, right? So I want you to think about your purpose. Again, God has given you dreams. He's given you vision. He's giving you a plan. He's giving you message. You may not have all the steps, but you have at least one step. And so you've already started. You've already started outlining your book. You've already started putting your business model together for your coaching practice. You've already started creating the workbooks and the worksheets for your digital products. You've already started to design courses. You've already started learning how to do screen printing because you want to do t-shirts and hoodies and things like that. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, he's giving you the vision for it. And so, but he's also giving you the message. So putting out the divine message that God tells you to speak about, it's super important because you also need to be sharing your testimony. So, when you're showing up on social media, when you're showing up on video, when you're showing up on audio, when you're showing up on podcasts, when you're trying to put your message out there, people need to buy into your purpose. They need to know why you're doing something. That's why I'm saying aligning yourself and reminding yourself with your purpose is going to help you show up even when you don't feel adequate enough, because sharing your testimony and sharing those messages and sharing those uplifting downloads that God has given you, it's what's going to draw people to you. It's going to draw people to your brand. It's going to draw people and make them curious and want to learn who you are and want to learn why you're doing this. Why are you creating that hoodie? What does that logo mean? Why did you want to be a coach? What are you trying to help me with? What did you struggle with? What in your life happened that makes you want to help me? Why should I even listen to you? Oh, you've been through the same thing I have? Oh my gosh, please tell me your story. We love testimony. There's a reason why we love to hear people's stories, because it just feels like you're getting to know a person, and it makes the world seem smaller. It makes it feel like you're not alone. It makes it feel like you're not doing something by yourself. And so sharing your story, sharing your why, sharing your testimonies, it really puts people in a position to not make them, but it opens them up to kind of listen to you and be more intrigued with you and make them want to go down the rabbit hole with you, right? So again, whether you're trying to write books, become an influencer, be a coach, start a ministry, sell products, you are doing this for a reason. And aligning up with your purpose is going to help you better serve who it is God has called you to serve. But I want you to be aware of insecurity, because you can feel insecure, but if you don't monitor how that lens of insecurity can impact you on multiple ways, it can cause self-sabotage, and it can cause you to have blocked your blessings. So what is self-sabotage, right? So when you are trying to operate through the lens of insecurity, if you're not paying attention, you can be showing up every day. You can be posted on social media, social media. You can be showing up on Instagram and Facebook, and you can be recording YouTube videos. You can be showing up on TikTok, whatever platform that you're going to be using. Or even just in your actual content, the thing that, makes your brand the brand. But if you're operating or creating through the lens of insecurity, you are actually self-sabotaging the process, because you open yourself up to comparing. You're looking at what you have, you're looking at what you've done, you're looking at what you're trying to accomplish, and you're comparing it to somebody else. There's a great saying out there. It's like you're looking at your step 2 and comparing it to someone's step 20. And it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to feel like you're behind. It's really easy to just, again, feel insecure about what it is you're trying to accomplish, because you're comparing. Okay. It also leads to competing. Then you feel the need to compete. So if you are a writer, why the heck should you write another book? You will literally have a conversation in your head about, why should I write another book? There's 15 million books out there. There's always another book. There's always a new author. What's going to make people listen to me? Who's going to, will my book even get picked up by a publisher? And I'm here to tell you, if you believe that the only way you can sell your book, or the only way you can get publishers, through Amazon, you are incorrect. Amazon is a great, fantastic tool, but guess what? Publishing companies still exist, and publishing companies are still signing people to have published books that are printed and put in Barnes and Noble, that are sold on Amazon in the physical format, like real legit copywriting publishing companies. They still exist, and they are still signing people to be published underneath them. So if your dream is to have your book in Barnes and Noble, do not give up hope, girl. Like, that is still possible. So again, when you're operating through the lens of insecurity, you are opening yourself up to comparing your efforts and comparing where you are to someone else. You feel like you're then having to compete with them. For example, this podcast. When I wanted to start this podcast, first of all, I didn't even know what a podcast was. I never listened to a podcast. I just knew I wanted an audio platform. I built it. God gave me the vision for it. Again, I had never listened to a podcast, and I didn't know what one should look like. I didn't know what other people were doing. I just didn't allow myself to look at anybody else's. So I designed mine. I built it. I got it set up the way I wanted it to. And then I went live. And then I started looking at other people's podcasts. And guess what happened? I did the very first episode in September. I didn't do the next, well, not this past September, but like 2018. I had to put the first one out in 2018 in September. I didn't do episode 2 until like December 2018 because I just started looking at other people's stuff. I got into, a Facebook group with other podcasting women, and I just was just floored with where people were, the amount of followers they had, the amount of downloads they had. They were talking in terms I didn't even know. And I just freaked myself out. Like literally that's what happened. I became really insecure because I was comparing, and then I was feeling the need that I had to compete with these other podcasts. And so, of course, then that leads to complaining. Now I'm complaining about what's not working for me. I'm complaining about, well, this person has this, and why isn't it doing this for me? And that affected me not being able to show up. I wasn't showing up. I wasn't delivering on what the mission that God had told me to do. He gave me the vision. He laid it out. All I had to do was follow the plan. But I let myself get caught up in my insecurity. So I wasn't showing up. I wasn't following through. I wasn't being consistent. And I was making fear-based decisions. I was making decisions about the next steps that I wanted to do in my podcast because I was afraid of not getting the numbers or people not listening to me. And so that's one of the things when you're operating through the lens of insecurity, you can make fear-based decisions instead of, bold, courageous, and righteous decisions. You also shut down the ability to God to talk to you, because when you're making decisions out of fear, when you're making decisions out of insecurity, you can't hear him telling you, no, don't do that. No, Alicia, this will help you do this, and I want you to go this direction. And so you start operating out of the flesh. You start making fear-based decisions. You start making decisions out of competing and complaining. You just start making decisions that are not aligned with what the original vision and mission was. And it just leads to more self-doubt. It just leads to more and more of the thing that you don't want, the thing that you're trying to avoid. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how operating through the lens of insecurity, or just the impact of insecurity, what that can do in terms of blocking your blessings. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to listen to a couple of sponsors, and then we'll be right back. Join the World Fam Patreons, where all the hashtag Impact Queens and Impact Kings live. Impact is about affecting change. You have the power to change someone's perspective, their direction, their confidence, and their circumstances just from sharing what God gave you so naturally. I learned years ago that my greatest gift was my imagination. I want to teach women that they can be impactful in their family, their community, their business, their career, and their church by using their divine gifts and talents to create impact in the world. My mission is to encourage women to uplift themselves and give them the tools and resources needed to walk the path God has called them to walk. Thus, the Position to Impact podcast was born. Go to www.patreon, that's patreon.com/position to impact. Join the Royal Fam Patreon and you can get perks starting just at $5. You could be helping us pick topics for the show, get bonus Q&A monthly episodes that will only be for Patreons, get early access to hashtag inspired impact segments before they air on public sites, and get access to the paid crown level version of the Impact Academy. If you are a coach, mentor, consultant, author, digital products creator, or online influencer trying to grow a brand around your divine purpose, you can join the Royal Fam at the Duchess, Princess, or Queen level. Go to patreon.com/position to impact now to join us. You don't want to miss out on our secret link Sunday coffee chats. Join today. All right, and we are back. Okay, so let me talk to you guys about burnout real quick. So burnout is real. I don't know if you've heard of it, but burnout is a real thing. And I have had burnout a few times, but I remember my burnout one time was so real that I stopped doing anything for probably like close to 6 months. 6 months, it was to the point where I was about to just give up being an entrepreneur altogether. Like I was like, this is for the birds. I'm just going to focus on work and my social life, and that's just going to be it. Like this is too hard. I can't do this. And the burnout came from the mindset of, I gotta hustle. Well, this didn't work, and I gotta do the next thing, and that didn't work. Let me go do the next thing, and let me do this, and let me do that. And it was just do more, do more, do more, do more. But really, the do more was stemming from fear. I'm not successful yet. I'm not winning. So I need to do more so I can win. And so I would put out more. I would show up more on Facebook. I would show up more on live streaming. At the time I was on Periscope, but I would show up more on Periscope, and I was posting more. But the only thing that I was really doing was that I was burning myself out because the motive was wrong. The motive was just wrong. I'm trying to do this because I'm trying to get the fruit, right? I'm trying to get the followers. I'm trying to get the likes. I'm trying to get the validation. I'm trying to get the confirmation that, I'm a good speaker. I'm trying to get the validation that people are listening to me. I'm trying to get I'm trying to have external things soothe the issues that I'm having internally, which is I'm insecure and I need outside influences to tell me that everything's okay. I need outside influences to tell me that it's going to be okay. I need outside influences to feed my ego, right? And so when people weren't feeding my ego, when circumstances weren't feeding my ego, I burnt out. And I was like, man, forget this. I don't want to do this. If this is how it's going to be, I don't want anything to do with that. So for 6 months, I sat down and I was like, I'm not doing nothing. I don't care about this. But the funny thing about being called, it wouldn't go away. Even during the 6 months where I just didn't want to do anything, I didn't have the energy to do anything. I had no ideas. I was just done. I couldn't even think of a single idea. I couldn't execute nothing. But it was still there in the back of my mind. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I can't explain it. I don't know how to explain it to other people. It doesn't make sense. But I know that I know that I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And yeah, so I just let the wave of burnout kind of fade out. I waited to a point where I learned to rest mentally. I gave myself that break of resting. I gave myself permission to not be on social media. I gave myself permission to just enjoy everyday life until I got to a point where my mind started to clear. It wasn't foggy and fuzzy anymore. And then those ideas and excitement and spark started to come back, and hope started to come back. And so why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because when you're operating through the lens of insecurity has the ability to block your blessings. And I burnt myself out for 6 months, and I can guarantee you, because I was not doing and working what God had wanted me to do for 6 months, I missed out on a lot of opportunities. And so I missed out on opportunities for exposure, networking. I missed out on leveraging opportunities, being able to leverage other people's audiences, because I wasn't connecting, I wasn't engaging, I wasn't reaching out, I wasn't doing the people work just for the sake of people work. And so I missed out on talking about my message. I just missed out on those things, and no telling what doors could have opened during that time if I had been operating out of faith and operating out of the lens of the desires of the righteous shall be granted. Like, I wasn't operating out of that. And so when I'm talking about blocked blessings, I'm talking about you miss out on having divine copy. If you don't know what copy is the the messages and the words that you read in emails, when you read on sales pages, when you're seeing ads, that's all copy. And so when you're trying to sell something, or you're trying to promote something, or you're trying to influence a call to action, that's copy. But when it's divine copy, that's when people feel touched to it. They resonate with what you're just saying. And so when you're operating out of insecurity, you miss those opportunities to create divine copy, because you're sitting out another energy. When you're writing out of insecurity. So you're putting out insecurity. Well, insecurity is a repellent to somebody reading it. It's just like desperation. If you don't believe me, think about desperation. If you ever have gone to a club or gone to any social setting, and someone's trying to talk to you or trying to, get your attention, and they're super desperate, like, it's an instant turnoff. It's a repellent, because they're operating out of fear, and they're operating out of insecurity, and they're desperate to get the thing that they want, the dream that they want. So they're pushing out desperation, and it's instantly repelling you. Well, that is what insecurity does when you are writing, when you're talking, when you're speaking. You push people away from you. And so insecurity can block divine action. God can't talk to you if you're insecure. He can't talk to you through your insecurity, because you're so focused on what you're not good at, or what you don't have, or what you're worried about, or that type of thing. And it's hard to hear him tell you, no, Alicia, do this, or no, Catherine, do this. So you miss out on divine action. You miss out on divine copy. You miss out on opportunities for exposure. Like I said, you miss out on opportunities for leverage and networking. You miss growth in general. You miss that opportunity to just put out a post, and just for the purposes of just putting something out there in reference to, God told me to say this, inspired impact, this inspired action, this divine action. I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there because it was put on my heart. And then next thing you know, you have like 2 or 3 people or 5 people messaging like, oh my gosh, Alicia, that really resonated with me. Thank you so much. This is how I was feeling. And then you said this, and this is how it helped me. And it was great. And then you're riding cloud 9 for the rest of the day because of it. But it was because you had that inspired action. But when you're operating out of insecurity, you miss those opportunities to do that. You get setbacks, right? Because you're operating out of fear, you're operating out of worry, you're operating out of doubt, you're operating out of, inadequateness. Is that a word? Maybe. You get setbacks. You have failed attempts, things that because you make ideas, those ideas are tainted with your insecurity. So it doesn't work, or it doesn't work at the level that you wanted it to work. I think about when I was talking to you earlier about goal setting, my ability to set goals was tainted, because at that point I was making goals out of my insecurity on what I think I could do. Even though I'm ambitious, I was still making ambitious, fearful goals. And so, I was making decisions through the flesh. And when I say fleshly goals or fleshly actions, or taking fleshly actions, I'm talking about not operating through the spirit, but operating out of fear and doubt and insecurity, making fear-based decisions. That's what I mean when I say fleshly actions and fleshly goals. Taking actions or making goals that feed my ego, that give me validation, that make me feel like I'm important, or that I can be here, I'm a winner, and that's what it means in reference to operating through the lens of insecurity. So to kind of recap this, I just want everyone to understand that just because you're insecure, it doesn't mean that you have to fix yourself first. This episode was mostly important just to bring self-awareness to, if these are the things that you are struggling with, if you find yourself comparing, you find yourself competing, you find yourself not being insecure, you find yourself being, doubtful, and you feel like you can't hear God give you direction, then you might be operating through insecurity. What are you afraid of? What do you feel inadequate about? What do you think you're missing? And just kind of do those check-ins, that self-talk, right? And get back to your purpose, get back in line with your purpose. That's what's going to pull you out of that insecurity. And then because it takes you outside of yourself, and it reminds you that this thing is bigger than me. This is not just so that I can live the dream of dreams. This is because I need to impact other people. This is because I need to help other people. This is because I need to inspire other people. This is because I need to take people from where I was, because this is where they are now, and show them that, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Whatever it is that your message is, or whatever it is that God has called you to say and do, that is what you need to do, because this is not about you, or this is not just about you. Okay. So if you are struggling with being aligned with your purpose, or you need help being super clear or gaining clarity on your purpose, that's one of the benefits of joining the Impact Academy. I do have a training course over there right now that's called the Purpose Decoder. You get access to this course for free when you join the Impact Academy. It is absolutely free to join, and you get not only that course, but you get access to other courses and workbooks and checklists and e-guides and just other tools. Ladies, guys, Impact Kings, Impact Queens, Impact Nation, I created the Impact Academy because when I was starting my brand and was building my brand, I just didn't know where to start. And I was piecing everything together. And I wish from the depths of my soul that someone had something like this. And it was available at either free or damn near free. And so everything that's inside the Impact Academy is stuff that I have learned through the years, things that I've had to pay to learn, and things that I've just pieced together from just a variety of different sources. But you get access to just building a brand and how to do that for you divinely in one place, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything. The cost is your email address, right? So that you can, register inside the membership site. So you get your own password, you get your own login, everything, okay? And you get access to these high quality trainings and tools for free, okay? So that is it, everybody. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you got some self-awareness around, building a brand, but making sure that you're not building your brand through the lens of insecurity, and just how much of an impact being insecure can have on your brand and what you're trying to accomplish. So if you like this episode, please don't forget to share this out, write a comment right now, and subscribe to whatever platform you have right now. Don't forget to tag me on social media, and I will see you on the next episode.